on the IPERS website. So our website is www.ipers.org. As you can see, I have that open. When you get to this screen, if you go to the employers and if you just click on the employer section, so if I click on this, not select, but click, it will open a separate section and it has this information. So we have tons of resources out here for you as the employer. One of them is the IQ Help Guide, and it has been updated with the new screenshots that follow along for the updated version of IQ. So I'm going to go ahead and open that and show that to you just a little bit here. Now you can print these out by sections. Some of our employers don't need every section. There's a table of contents. So you would be able to go to the table of contents, decide which ones you use. So if you don't do a manual wage report, you don't have to print that out. You're only required to print out the sections that you believe that you're going to need. And of course, this can be a link in your bookmark so that you can actually go back and re-access this in this PDF version. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So where do we go to get logged in? As you guys all know, when you go to our website, so this is what our website looks like. Here's your employer login that has not changed. So you're going to go ahead and click on that. This is what your new login looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to log in and we're going to walk you through the screens. All right, so let's get started. You're going to go ahead and type in the login. So your username. A username and password is issued to you to get into the system. You'll want to use that. It's the same thing, the same steps that you always have done. And then we'll type in the password. Click sign in. Now, of course, your username is your 5-digit employer ID number, your first initial of your first name, the first 6 letters of your last name, as you've seen there. All of our passwords are 8 characters long. They begin with a letter, contain at least 2 letters, 1 number, and 1 special character. Please be aware that passwords are case sensitive. Usernames are not. This is the 2-factor authentication. It pulls your information from the contact. So it's very important that your contact information is updated. We recommend a cell number for a text message because that's the easiest. So I'm going to go ahead and click on text and it's going to send me a code. Click next. And so I'm just going to wait for my code to come in, which it has. There it is. Click confirm. As you can see, these codes are only valid for 15 minutes. So if for some reason something happens and you don't get to it right away or something, you get interrupted, just cancel out of it and start all over again. You perform the 2-factor authentication. It confirms that there at the top in green. You want to accept the end user agreement. If you decline, it'll just take you right back to the login. All right. This is the new homepage. Now that we're logged in, let's take a look at the home screen. From here, you can see the navigation bar on the left. It has home, account. As you can see, some of the names changed. It's no longer account summary, wage reports, and payment history. It's just account. Employer information is the same. User information is the same. Documents, member information is the same. We now have a section called imports, and that's where you actually, it was the view update. Sorry, not view update. There's the different names for that. Now it's import. There was only one spot where you could see that, and that was in the account summary, wage reports, and payment history. And the 4 boxes at the top of that screen is where you would go to find your file history from your imports. This is actually a screen where you can have all of that. You don't have to actually go into the account to get that information any longer. We have a section where you can send and receive messages. You can print out a remittance coupon. You can sign up for our meetings. And of course, always the contact us information, which I'll show you. It has our physical address. That's not our mailing address. Our business hours. That's when our phones are manned. This is our phone number, and it's the toll-free number. And of course, here's our email that I spelled out for you. employerrelations@ipers.org is where we want you to send your questions and concerns. Now with that, I want to go back to the home page and I want to show you the rest of that. Of course, our toll-free line is listed up here. We have that available and our hours are listed here at the top as well. In the middle here is what we have for quick links. And this is similar to the same setup that you had before. We have a section where you can upload your import wage adjustment files, make a payment, one-time and recurring payments, process a new hire, so add a new member to the roster, add EFT bank account, so you can add a new bank account here. And these are just quick links. There's other ways to do them, and you can see that in the table of contents. When you're trying to do something, it'll show you both options as far as where you can go to click. Over here is the news. And so of course, we always put information over here, such as the wage ceiling. We did get an updated election for termination of IPERS coverage form that's out there. And normally down here, this is a test case, but normally what you'd see down here is your employer number, your employer name, and then the balance that's from your account that pulls from your account summary screen, your account screen, I apologize. And so that would be pulled up here. So the first thing that we're going to do is, of course, you have the option to change your profile. And up here in the right hand side of the screen, you have your initials and then it says profile. So what we're going to do is if you're a new user and you need to change your password, or say you've had a password forever and you want to update that, you're going to click on the profile button here. You just want to click on the words profile. You will see, if you're following along in the IQ Help Guide, I'm going from start to finish in the IQ Help Guide. So the screens that you're seeing, you should be able to see that I'm showing you on the screen should be right there in your book. So of course you can change all of this information. So here's the update password. So if I wanted to update the password, I would just go ahead and click on here on update password. It tells you our password qualifications or specifications. Our passwords must meet the following rules: 8 characters long, 2 alphas, 1 numeric, 1 special. You enter what your current password is. If for some reason you forgot your password and we emailed that to you, then that is going to be what your current password. So if you said you clicked on the forgot password button and we sent you an email with a new password, that's going to become your current password. We don't expect you to try to come up with what your old password was. Your old password is superseded by the email that we send, and then you'll be able to reset that. I'm not going to go ahead and reset that at this time. There's no need. But I mean, I'll just go ahead and do that just so that I can show you for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to enter in what my password is, and I'm going to change it. And of course, it blocks it out. It does not let you see that. And it does have the option to view that here. So like if you wanted to see what it was, it does have the view. So it will show you what that is and then what you're going to change it to. And then click save. So it tells you that your password was updated successfully, and it brings you back to this screen. It gives you a login history over here to the right. Just shows when you logged in, what was going on. Just talks about some cybersecurity best practices below. But if you want to get back to the home screen, the only way to do that is by clicking on the IPERS logo. So you must click to get out of the profile screen. You must click the IPERS logo, and that is the last step, directions there, and that will bring you back to the IPERS homepage. From here, I'm going to show you how to add a new member. If you manually add your new members to your roster, this is how you're going to do that. A lot of our employers, they import their wage files. And so when they do that, they actually add their new members that way. So this is not something that you as someone that imports would need to do on a regular basis, but we want to make sure that you have the tools so that if for some reason something happens, that you do know how to go in and add a new member if for some reason the import did not work. So we are going to go to, along from the toolbar, or sorry, the navigation bar over here, we're going to go to member information. As you can see, it opens your roster. This roster is everybody that you have in employment currently. And then it would also have a list of your terminated employees. So it would have a termination date and last check date. So these are my employees, and I am going to go ahead and add a new employee. So I'm going to add a new member. As far as I know, she's a new member. If for some reason the information is there, it should pull up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add new member. Here, it asks for a social security number. Click on next. So it tells me that in the information box up here, no match is found. You must create a new member. So what that means is they don't have an IPERS account. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this information, and you can scroll down as it goes over here. It puts her social security number in. Once you type that in, it blocks it out with the X's, and you won't be able to see it again until the end of verified. There's a drop down box here, and we're going to add her as a female, and then date of birth. Once you're done filling in the information, we're going to click on the next at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. And as you can see at the top, it's kind of like a wizard. It's walking us through the steps. And so it tells you how many things that we have left. So it's looking for addresses. So it's looking for my permanent mailing address, zip code. It should pre-populate the city and the county. Once you put the zip code in there for you, we'll scroll down, verify the state. It all puts all that in. So the only thing you're going to need is the actual physical address and the zip code. It will fill in the other information for you. Click on next. So here's what pops up. This is what's called this CAST certification. So we send this information out to be verified by the Postal Service. And so it comes back and it's looking for this 4-digit number at the end of the zip code. So we're going to go ahead and click on that because I want to add that. I don't know those by heart, so this is the way our system adds those. And so we're going to go ahead and use selected address. Again, once it comes back in, you'll see that it added that 4-digit zip here on the back of my zip code. And then I'm going to go ahead and click next. It's asking for some contact information, so we're going to go ahead and put that in. Next. If you don't have that information for the individuals, of course, you won't have a fax number probably for that individual. Now, actually, I'll just go back to that screen. So there's home phone, work phone, cell phone, fax. Otherwise, if you don't have any of this information, it's not required. You can just hit next. So it comes up, the agreement is always going to be monthly cities. You have no other options. What that is we bill you monthly, or sorry, the account is billed monthly. And so that's the only agreement that we have. Your options here are for occupation codes. And so you are going to select the occupation code that best fits the individual. The majority of them are regular class, but we do have police officers, firefighters, part-time elected officials, emergency service providers, full-time elected officials. Of course, this is a city, and that's why these are different. So if you're a school district, or if you're a county, or any of that, you will have different ones that are available. O1 will always be available, but there could be others. So we're going to go ahead and click on O1. And first date of employment for Jessica is 02/02/2023. We're going to go ahead and click on next. And then we're going to scroll down and make sure that that information is correct. Looks correct. We're going to go ahead and confirm. If you have multiple people to add, there is a button here. You can hit add additional, but if you are done with adding the individuals, go ahead and click close. That'll bring you back to the roster. And then you should see her listed here in your employment record. And of course, they're sorted by the dates. So of course, her start date was 2/2/23. So here she is listed there. And so we successfully added a new member. Anytime you're in doubt or you get lost where you're at, or you want to get out of something, you can always hit this IPERS logo or the home selection. Sometimes this navigation bar is not there. So the best way to get back to the home page is always to just click on the IPERS logo here at the top left-hand side of the screen. So for that section, we are done. So I'm just going to go ahead and click home. So our next thing to do is I'm going to update an existing member. So again, we're going to go back into member information. And I am going to go into my record. My name is Betty. As you can see, there's not just one edit button, there's several edit buttons for each section that you're wanting to update. And I want to update my address because my address has changed. And so I'm going to go ahead and edit that. It'll bring this up, and my PO box is changed to 105. And so I'm going to go ahead and click next. And usually with the PO box, the digits at the 4 digits are the last of the PO box. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. It brings that up to modify and confirm. As you can see, it didn't give me the address CAS certification. I'm going to go ahead and confirm. And it tells me that it's been updated. And the reason that is because I already have the 4-digit zip. The purpose of the CAS certification, that orange screen that popped up in the last example, is just because it wants to get that 4-digit zip added on there. And so if you wanted to change anything, all you have to do is just click edit in the information. So say I wanted to add my middle name, I needed to change my date of birth as incorrect, those type of things. I can change all of that. I can edit and add my phone number. So if I click edit in the contact information, I can add a home phone for myself, a cell phone. And of course, this is just for our members. And so of course, like I said, we're going to get that changed, but there's nothing for me to update at this time, but I'm just showing you that you do have those capabilities. All right. And so that ends the updating existing member. So I'm going to go back to the home screen. There are times where our members have multiple occupation codes. And so with that, so they might be a regular class employee and a police officer. They might be a regular class employee that cleans, and they're also a part-time elected official. So what I'm going to do is, actually, I skipped ahead of myself. I apologize. So the next thing that I want to do is, so maybe I entered something wrong, or I need to add a termination date or last check date when I update a member employment record. And that is again under the member information screen. So when I added Jessica Joker here, I added her with the wrong occupation code. Click on her. And then at the top here, I'm going to go over to the right-hand side of the screen where it says add employment. And so here's where I'm going to add that she is now a part-time elected official, and her start date for that employment record is 04/01/2023 is when she's going to take office. Next, confirm. And this is basically the same thing that I'm going to display. We can go back out to the roster. You can go back out, get out of the employee details by clicking the underscored member information. It'll take you right back to your roster. And now you will see that Jessica Joker has 2 employment lines. And these are the same steps that I went through, the 2 sections, updating a member employment record by adding a termination date and last check date, and then adding the new employment record, are all done within this screen. And so you can see here, I'm going to go out here, back out here to Jessica Joker, because she's going to become a part-time elected official as of 4/1. So I'm going to put a termination date out here for her under that record. We also have, of course, on this screen, you can add the employment. You don't have to wait until you actually go in there. You could have added the employment, click on the add employment record here, and to do the same thing. And here's where you would be able to add that information again. There's just a couple places where you'll be able to do that. So I want to go in here. And so I'm going to edit her employment details. Oops, I apologize. I selected the wrong one. I needed to be in the 01. And you can see I'm easily moving around. Say you do have multiple lines for these individuals and you click on the wrong one. It's no problem to go back. You just go back, click on the member information. You'll see that here that's underscored up here, and it'll take you back to that roster at any time. Again, if you're confused as to where you're located or what's going on, always just click on the IPERS logo. But remember I said there's not just one edit, you can edit the sections. And so I'm going to go ahead here and edit. I'm going to put a termination date and last check date. So her termination date is going to be 03/31/2023 because it's a day before when she starts as a part-time elected official, 03/31/2023. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking she's putting a termination date in, but she hasn't reported any wages. So what you'll see is when I go to report wages, I'll probably get an error. One of the errors that'll be is that I already have a termination date and last check date. But that's, we're in a test environment. I want these things to pop up. So that's how you enter that termination date and last check date. When it rolls you back to this employee detail screen, you can see that before it was blank, there was no termination date or last check date. And now it's put in there. And I believe that it still stands if you need to change any of those dates. So the date, like the first date of employment, any of the termination dates, that is still required a phone call for you guys to call us to get those updated for you or to take those out. You do not have the capability to undo any of this information. This actually brings up your roster where you're going to hand enter your period wages. And so Betty's wages are 4,000. And you can tab or click whichever you feel comfortable with. David's wages are 5,000. Scott Spades is 250. And Chris is 500. So as you can see, it provides you in the history here, it provides you with a total. So your total wages here are 9,250. But as you remember, I did add Jessica and her start date was February 2nd. So I will need to add her to the work history here. She's already been added as a member. So I also need to add her to this wage report. So I'm going to click on add member. I'm going to type in Jessica's social. When I click tab, it should pre-populate it or bring that up. This is her information. And it pre-populates that for you. So her wages were $853 for that period. Her start date, it was 02/02/2023. Oops. And now it updated my total. So my total wages is $10,000 and that is correct. Unfortunately, my little box over here. Down below in the bottom right-hand corner, you have the options for the the edit work history details, and that is cancel, apply, and save. I'm going to go ahead and hit save because my total here is correct. That's a total amount of wages that I generated on the gross payroll report. Click save. I may get an error because I did put a termination date and last check date for Jessica. So here's where, so what happens is sometimes you have HR that goes in and enters that information. So it's not going to let me report wages for her because it wants a new start date or a new occupation code. And this is when you get these errors, this is when you're going to have to call us because of course I can't go back in and make that edit. I cannot delete that termination date and last check date. So you would have to contact us to get that removed. So what's going to happen is I cannot report her wages because of that. And so I'm going to have to remove her from this. And let's see, it should. So under the more at the top right-hand corner, there's a more, and I checked this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. And it's going to confirm that I want to delete that. And so Jessica should disappear. So now you're probably all wondering what's going to happen. Now Jessica's wages aren't getting reported for February. In this situation, I would have to do a wage reporting adjustment, or I would just, once I get this saved, I won't release this and I'll make a telephone call to IPERS and have them assist me with getting that removed. And then I would re-add Jessica back onto this roster. So I'm going to save this for this time period. I just want to show you what I'm trying to do is show you what you can and cannot do and the types of errors and issues that may come up with this. The work history down below in the account work report detail screen down below here now has all the wages. Before it was 0, so now it has all the wages listed. We are working on getting a total here for the period wages on this screen under the work history, but your contributions should be this. So based on the $10,000 that I had for wages, this should be the contributions that are due. And it shows you up here, employer contributions is the ERC, member contributions are the MBRC, and this is the portion of what the members contributed, and this is the portion that you as the employer contributed. So this should be your payment. This should match your check. A lot of people like to look at the summary reports, so the wage and contribution reports. That's now listed here under the view summary report. You can click on that. You will have to make this bigger. And then you would have to, within the Adobe, open that up. And so this gives you a breakdown. A lot of you call and ask us for these, and you can do them before and after you release the report. It gives you a breakdown by occupation class code, what you're reporting, what each contributions are. So say you have an error and you're not quite sure what's going on. You don't know if you withheld the right amount of money for the person. Down below here in this wage and contribution report, it has the social security numbers that are listed, and then it has the dollar amounts here, and then what their portions of the contributions, and then total funds that you should be submitting. And here it does have the totals again. It's actually the 9,000 because I had to delete Jessica off, 9,750, and that's what the contributions. This is what your check should be, the 1522.66. You can print that out or download it. We are working on getting it so that you can download it to Excel again. But at this time, the only option you have is to download it into PDF or just print it as it is for review. Go ahead and close that out by clicking on the X in the top right-hand corner. It brings you back to the wage report details screen where you have your wage report summary, you have your financial summary, and your work history. Your work history, again, displays the wages that you're trying to report. If this amount is correct, you can actually click release here. You don't have to go back to that summary screen. If this is correct and these are the total wages, you can click release right away. I'm going to go ahead and release this because I can't fix Jessica because I can't get into the IPERS side of things. And so what I'm going to have to do is fix that at a later date to report Jessica. So I'm going to confirm. Tells me that this work report has been submitted successfully. Then I'm going to close. This is just telling you that it's in process. Eventually it will have a date released and the user who released that. And so it will have my information. So now you will see that the date released is today's date, and me, Betty Hart, did release this wage report. If you do want to print out the summary, wage and contribution summary, now that it's released, you can go back into the view summary report and you can print that with the stuff that you have released. And it does say the report status released. So if you did it before, it wouldn't have that released status available for you to do that. And of course, I'm recording, so there's some information at the top. So I have to move my screens to click on the X. And again, it depends on what you're working on, depending on your computer, depending on your laptop or tablet. You may have to move things around to find the X's or to find the save buttons or to find the apply, or you may have to scroll down or scroll over. It just depends on some of the screens and how they look. So you may have some movement within the screens. All right. How do I get back to my account? So as you can see there, it usually leaves a breadcrumb here at the top. So I'm just going to go ahead and click account. And as you can see now, if you look at the transaction that I clicked on, it now has a release date, it has my name, and then it has the dollar amount, and then it says completed. So for our next process is importing a wage report. So this is what the majority of our employers do, is they import their wage report. So just some things to remember. We're going to do the March 2023. So before you can do these steps, of course, you as the employer need to create your export file from your payroll software. Once you've created that file within the specifications that were showed to you in the employer handbook, you can then go over to the upload files button, or you can click on the imports button. So you have two options here. And of course, both of those are listed within your help guide. You can either click on imports or you can click on upload files. It brings you to the same screen. You'll see that when I click on upload files, it has the upload file here and it's going to bring the information into the import screen. We still have all the drop downs that are the same. We're going to click on employer wage reporting. We're going to browse and go out and find our file. So my March wage report is here. And as you can see, they're text files. You can see by the paper here, that's the type of text files that they generate. We're going to open. What that's doing is it's going to bring that into the upload area. And we're going to type a description, March. Next. The parameter screen will eventually be hidden. There's nothing for you to pick. The report source should always be EI and there's nothing for you to change it to. You just click on next. This is just to verify and confirm that you are uploading your March 2023 wage report. The description is March. You're going to confirm that. It says your import file has been submitted. It brings you right back to this home screen. Now, some of you are wondering, do I go to the account to find my import? Where do I go to find my import? You actually go to the imports over here in the navigation bar. And this shows you your import history. And this shows you the file by ID that we just uploaded. So employer wage reporting, ERID, March, so 2023-03, March 2023, not processed. And of course, this is submitted by me. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to go into the file. So we're going to click on the ID number. And here's the import details. And so this is going to show you what is actually in your file. And you can scroll over and see the information here and see what wages and if there's any information. At the top right here is where we're going to validate. That used to be under your actions button. It's you no longer have action buttons. So you will see here that we're going to click on validate. It's going to tell you that it's queued for validation. It brings you up to this import summary description and it's telling you here that it's queued validation request and the status is not processed. So we're going to wait for our system to update that. You can see now my import header status changed to validated with errors and my processed flag says validated. So you always want to pay attention to what the status is for the import header status. And it's always under the import summary. It tells you that your wage report, what you're importing, and it has all the details here on the top. It tells you what you've imported. So we're gonna scroll down here. And a reminder, nothing is an edit. It used to be that everything was automatically in the edit. So now you actually have to edit to make changes. I want to look for, it tells me that I am validated with errors. Well, how do I find my errors? Where is it that there's errors and how do I find those? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the standard import report and then I can generate the standard import report. I will just give you a heads up. There is some formatting issues with this. And so it's going to be very, 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 very small. It prints out very, very, very small. So just FYI, we are working on that. And so I'll show you that here. We're going to click done because it's going to pull up the report with validated with errors. So we're going to drag it up. And as I said, you will find that you have to change the view. So it's saying that Betty's address, because as you remember, I changed Betty's address. So it's saying that the address on the file that's coming in is incorrect. So there's an error and it says Oh, in this situation, it's an actual, the error message is the last name mismatch. So my last name is Hart, but for some reason it pulled Hearts. And so you do have the capability to make those changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and edit my file. So I'm going to close out of this because I just had the one error. I'm going to go back over here to file details. I'm going to click on edit in the right-hand corner for the import details. And I'm going to change Hearts to Hart. I'm going to click save. And it tells me that I've successfully updated the import details. So now I'm going to revalidate my file by clicking validate. Says that it's queued for validation again, and you'll see that the process flag has changed again to queued validation request. And as you can see here, next to the items under the import details, you have errors and warnings. You can click on these errors and warnings and it'll actually show you the error for the file. So of course, here it is. There's where I updated the address. Remember, I told you that it was 02 and it tells you that I've updated that address. And sometimes, you know, members will go on to their My Account and change their address. And so you always want to make sure that you look at those. But I did fix the file so that it came through properly. Anything that's validated with exceptions can go through, but let's just take a look and see what the issue is here while we're waiting for the file. Again, this is just another address one. And that's another reason why we allow our files to go through validated with exceptions, because it could just be an address update and it takes several times for it to process. It says the last 180 days. So if you've made that update, there's nothing for you to do. And that's why we allow you to process them with exceptions. All right, now you can see that my import header status changed from validated with errors to validated with exceptions, which is perfectly fine. If it says validated successfully or validated with exceptions, we do allow you to release. It does say the process flag does say validated. So of course, the next step would be to, once we validate, then we process. So now I don't have any errors, so I can go over here in the right-hand side of the screen and hit process. You don't have to exit out of the file. You don't have to do anything. If everything says here validated with exceptions, as long as there's no errors, we can click on process. Tells us to wait for the file to complete processing, then proceed to the account tab to release the report. So you still have to go over to the accounts tab once you process your import to release it to IPERS. So as you can see here, once you've done validated and processed, all of that disappears. You can download your report here, or you can wait until we to get the wage and contributions reports once we go back to the account screen, which is where we're going now. So we've given it a little bit of time. So it still says that the process flag is queued, so it may not be over here yet, but we're going to go over to the account screen. And as you can see, our amount that we owe is listed here in the March report, and that is correct. As long as that amount is correct, we can click on the transaction number. Once again, we verify that this is what our check should be within a few cents, and we can click release. It asks me if I'm sure I want to submit this report. I confirm. It tells me that it has now been successfully submitted to IPERS. Close. And then eventually this will get updated. If you are one of those employers, again, that likes to have copies of this, you can click on the view summary report while you're in here. And that will allow you to print your wage and contribution report. And you can print that out. To close out of the wage and contribution report, you have to click the red X, and that brings you back to the wage report details. Now, as you see, it still doesn't show me. You're like, okay, it still doesn't show released. If you click on the account screen, that's also a refresh. And as you can see now, it's been updated. User released, B Hart, the date, it has the amount and says that it's completed. So I've successfully submitted by manually reporting February and importing March. Our next step in the process is to do a wage adjustment. And now that is done one of two ways. You can either fill out our form, which I'm going to show you where that's located, or you can complete the import spreadsheet and upload a file. So whichever you feel the most comfortable with, you can upload or you can fill out the form. So we're going to go ahead and the forms are not located here in IQ at this time. So I'm just going to go back out here to the home screen. And then I have tabs opened at the top. And so I'm going to go back to the home page. I can go to employer and then forms. And then I scroll down, we have retiree forms, member forms, but it should have the employer forms open. And you should be able to find either the wage reporting adjustment form or the wage adjustment import. So I'm first going to start with the wage adjustment form. So by clicking on this, it's going to open the PDF fillable form. So here I would fill it out, City of Heart. So you fill out this form. It can be a self-correction. It could be an audit with this specific compliance officer. It could be a training session that we did and you're like, oh, I need to make this, or it could be other, and then you'll explain why. You fill out the social security number, the name, the occupation code. I have reported 0 wages because it wouldn't allow me to because she had a termination date. The wage amount was $853 is the wage adjustment amount, and her final wages for the month of February should be $853. And then it is a 21, and the reason it's a 21 is error on wage report, unable to submit member. And so, of course, then you as a reporting official would sign, date, and then you can send this. On the second page here, you will see there's directions for completing this form. So if you have any questions when completing the form, what the wage adjustment codes are, it talks about how to fill that out. And so you can see that. Once you're done with this, you can email, fax it to our office, and we'll process that adjustment. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Or you can actually, if you're an employer that does imports, you can actually complete the spreadsheet. And of course, I have to move my little box here. The wage adjustment spreadsheet. It opens at the bottom. So it opens when the spreadsheet opens, it opens to the instructions. And it's basically the same thing as the back of the page that I just showed you on that PDF. But this looks a little different. So we created a spreadsheet where you can upload the information to us. So you, as somebody that is familiar with importing, so if you have multiple, I think this has 100 and some 100 lines, you can upload 100 adjustments to us. So employer number 00438, the social security number 77, occupation code is 01. The date is 02/01/2023 to 02/28/2023. The wage adjustment amount, I'm trying to add $853 to her wages. That's what her final wages is. The adjustment code is still 21. We're not doing a social security number correction. So in order for me to create the text file so that you can upload this, you click on this blue create import file. It asks you where you want to save it to. You pick where you want to save it to. Click OK. It will then tell you that the file was exported to wherever you saved it to, and this is the name of the import. And so you click OK. We can close this out. You do not want to save it, so don't save. And if you do save it, do a file save as, still cancel out of that and do a file save as. That returns you back to the employer form. So now we need to go back to where we were logged in at. So of course, if it's the form that you completed, the PDF form, you will go ahead and send that into IPERS and we will process it. So what I'm going to show you how to do here is the import process, whereas if you filled out that spreadsheet, what are the steps that you would do to get that wage adjustment to us? There's a lot of questions and concerns about, when do I do the wage adjustment? Of course, when do you do the wage adjustment? You do the wage adjustments if you added too much wages to somebody. If you need to remove wages from somebody, you reported them under an incorrect Social Security number. While we're doing the audit, we will discuss that in detail. But if you ever have any questions on how to fix something, the wage adjustment form is the only way to add, remove, or change anything for a member's record. And we have to have the signed copy unless you upload that import file. Otherwise, that's the only way that we can process those adjustments for you or make any changes. All right, so since it created that spreadsheet created the file for me, I'm going to click on the words from the home screen here. I'm going to click on upload files again. I'm going to choose, instead of wage reporting, I'm going to choose wage adjustment reporting. I'm going to browse and go out and find my file, and it should be the very first one. If not, you can sort it by date or time of wherever you saved it. So I click on that. It brings it into the system, and I'm just going to type wage adjustment. Click next. Again, we're going to get this hidden, so this will not be there, but click next through the parameters. And then this is just a verification to show that you pulled in the right file. You are doing a wage adjustment and you want to confirm that. So confirm. It says your import file has been submitted. Again, it doesn't take you to the import section. You're not on the account screen. So it keeps you here at the home page. And the newest thing for you guys will be, in order to find anything that you imported into our system, so upload, it goes to the import screen. It provides you an import history, and you will see all the files that you uploaded for your specific entity. This is in a sense the file history button that you guys used to click from the account summary, wage reports, payment history screen. This is what it is. That's how you get to it. It's just a little bit different there. Of course, it's going to be a learning curve as far as where do you find these at again? In the import section. Anything that you upload goes into the import section. So what you can see here is I imported an employer wage adjustment report. It looks the same, just like I did with my file. And so what I have to do in order to get the validate and process buttons to appear, I click on the ID number. You have two options at this point. You can validate the file or you can void it out. I'm going to go ahead and validate it because I don't, as far as I know, everything is correct. So I'm going to validate it. So it's queued for validation. And look how fast that was. We already got a confirmation and the information has already been updated. So there are some auto refreshes that are very speedy. So this one says it's validated successfully. The process flag is validated. And then now, as you can see, you only have two options here. You can revalidate your file or you can process it. Since it's validated successfully, I'm going to go ahead and process it because there's nothing further that I need to do. Everything that I uploaded is correct. Tells you to wait for this file to complete processing and then move to the account tab to release the report. So everything looks good here. So I'm going to click on the account tab or the navigation bar to go to the account tab. And as you can see, my wage adjustment is not listed here in my transactions. We're going to give it a couple seconds because it still could be processing on the other side. If it doesn't appear after a couple seconds, again, you can always hit the F5. And as you can see, now my line for my wage adjustment is listed there. And so what happens is you still need to release this to IPERS so that we know to go out and process this wage adjustment for you. So the process is still the same as it was before. You're going to select the line. And you still have to release this to us. So we are actually going to go ahead and click release. Confirm. Says the wage adjustment has been submitted to IPERS for processing. So that's how you know that it's gone to us. The status will change from initial to pre-bill, and the amount due will be sent to you, or the amount due, or sorry, the credit will be on the next monthly statement, or you can view that on the account summary screen, on the account screen. I apologize. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the account breadcrumb here. As you can see, it has not updated that I released it yet because it's not released until IPERS, until I actually, me as the employer, or sorry, someone from the employer relations team goes in and reviews and releases that. It will not update the release date, user released, or the release queue status. But as you see, I told you, it went from initial status to pre-bill status. Pre-bill status means it was submitted to IPERS, and so you have nothing further that you need to do. Once we process it, then you can look here. Usually those wage adjustments are processed within 24 to 48 hours, and you'll be able to see those there on the screen. Tomorrow, if there's any interest or penalties, along with any interest or penalties, you'll be able to see that there displaying on the screen. So that concludes the portion for the wage adjustments. So there's just a few other things that we need to do. Most of these are very minimal. And so I'm going to walk through those. The first thing is adding a financial institution. So we're going to go back here to the home. And then your option here is to add a bank account. If we click on account and we scroll down to the bottom, we can add a bank account here in the account screen as well. Most of the things that you can do are available to you. You can make payments, all of that there within the account screen, so you would not need to leave those. But if for some reason you were on the home screen, you can make your payments from the home screen, or you can add your bank accounts from the home screen as well. So there's two ways of accessing that same function. So I'm going to add a new bank account, my routing number. Should pre-populate my bank name based on the routing number, my bank account number. Don't copy my bank account number now, because you might get access to my funds. City checking. And then it asks you if you want to make this the default, because you can have more than one payment account. So we do have cities that have like a water account, a sewer account. They have several different accounts that they want to make payments from. You can add as many accounts and make payments from whatever accounts you want. So you can go ahead and click on next. I'm not going to make it default, but if there's only one account and you want that to be the default, you can click on that and make that the default. I'm going to click on next. It's going to give you an authorization. So we have to, you as the employer, in order for us to add this information to your account, you have to sign and send that to us. And so the person accepted would be Betty Hart, and I am the city clerk. And so I'm going to click on next. You'll review this. It's just saying that you give IPERS authorization. Your payments will not actually automatically come out. They're not automatically scheduled, so you still have to schedule your payments. And this is just saying that you're giving IPERS the authorization to go into your bank account to take out the payment that you scheduled. You're going to confirm this. Always want to make sure that you verify the routing number, the account number, and all of that. Confirm. And you can print this. So you can click here to view and print. It opens a PDF, and it has, it would have my name and my information. Of course, you know, we are still in a test environment, and that's why it's not listed there. But it will, and it'll have all of your information, your deposit name, and all of that listed. In order to get out of that, you just click on the X on the PDF that opens, and then you can click close at the bottom of the payment account summary wizard. If I go over here to account, I should be able to scroll down. Now you can see that I put, there's a US bank that was there before, and now it's been added to the bottom here. There's my bank that I just added. At any time, you can edit or cancel those right here from that screen. You can add additional ones here. So that concludes adding the EFT payments here. And we have several employers that still mail checks in. So there is a spot, you can either go into the documents section here and get your EFT payment here. Sorry, your remittance coupon. You can click there, or you can click on the tab here on the far side and generate a coupon for you to submit with your check. We are trying to promote that you guys all go online. You probably have received emails from our office requesting you to get set up to do online payments. Like I said, we can do multiple accounts. So we do have agencies that do have multiple accounts. So you can do that as well. Those are options that we don't just use one account. So now, since we've reported all those wages and did those wage adjustments, now we're going to go out and make some payments. So we're going to go ahead out under here and click on make a payment. More than likely, it's always going to be a one-time payment. If you are a smaller entity that your wages are the same, you could potentially do a reoccurring payment, but we don't recommend that. The one-time payment is usually always going to be what your selection will be. Click on next. It tells you the outstanding balance is $3,179.49. So that's the payment that I'm going to make because it's the total of both of those wage reports and that wage adjustment that I did. The payment account, you can change it. You can schedule it for a future date, or you can leave it the same. And I'm going to type in February, March, wage report and adjustment. So I know that that's what that's for. The payment account, you can either do it, of course, it doesn't show what the accounts are. So I specified it as city checking, and that's what that new account that I set up. And then I'm going to click next. Want you to review that to confirm that that's the payment you want to make. You're going to confirm. And here's where you click to print out a summary of your payments. So it comes up like this, and you will need to print this. If you do not click on that, I'm not sure if we've changed that or not. I have to look back as far as getting a printout of that. Otherwise, you want to make sure that if you do need copies of any of your payments, you always click that line to get that. And to close out of that, again, you just hit the X at the top of the PDF that opens and then close at the bottom of the screen. And now you want to verify that that payment has been withheld from your account because we did not schedule it. So you can see that here. You can see that I made the account back payment. The balance is now 0. And if you scroll down, if you would have made a scheduled payment, so if I would have scheduled my payment, you would see that here. So you don't have to go to multiple screens to see the payment schedules. If you schedule it for a later date, it will appear down here below on the payment schedules. And that's something new where you don't have to go out and try to find them, because before, if you scheduled a payment, you never seen it. So that's one of the things that you can do now. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the home page. There's just a few more things that I'm going to walk through with you. I'm going to show you how to update employer information. So if I need to change anything that's been on our screen, to keep our contact information updated and things like that, here's where I would go to do that. And so our address, our mailing address actually changed. So I'm going to actually edit that, and I'm going to change it to 105 from 105. And I'm going to hit next. Of course, because I have the 4-digit zip, it's not coming up with that box. Click confirm, and it tells me that I've successfully updated the reporting of the employer address for the city of Hart. And of course, here's where you can update the contact role information. So if you need to change anything for yourself as a reporting official, and then of course you edit the contact information here. So phone numbers, email addresses, work phone numbers, all of that would be listed there. To get back out of that, you just click on the breadcrumbs. Employer information takes you back to the desktop. And then you can make any changes you need there. And that's all you need to do for that screen to make any employer changes. So we'll go back to the home screen. Like I said, either home or the IPERS logo will get you right back to the screen. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to update the delivery preference. So the majority of you guys have email addresses that you can have everything emailed to you. But there are some situations where we mail out information to individuals. So if you needed to change the delivery preference from mail to email or email to mail, we suggest leaving it at email. And what'll happen is you just get an email every month saying that your documents are available. If you have it set to US mail, you will receive half of a tree coming to you, which has all the stuff that there's only one thing that you may need we don't have you submitting anything on paper. So it's kind of silly to have everything mailed to you when there's no paper. You just turn around and shred that information. So of course I've changed that now so that the city does not get anything in paper. Everything comes in email. Always want to make sure that your email's valid. Always want to double check that, make sure that that's the most current. And then everything will be emailed to you on a monthly basis, such as your employer monthly statement. Now, we are not going to be demonstrating adding a new user or deactivating a user. It is there available to you in your IQ Help Guide. We just recommend that you use the form and submit that to us. So if you're new to IPERS and you're a new reporting official or you need to make changes, you'll just want to go over to www.ipers.org, click on that employer and in the employer form section. And then you're going to be looking for employer account reporting official demographics form. All of our forms are PDF fillable. And so here's the form that you're going to submit to update the reporting official, add additional contacts, and to receive a username and password or take away permissions for a username and password. So at this time, we are not recommending adding the new user or deactivating the new user. If you're an entity that has done that in the past, we recommend you using the form and submitting that. The contact information as to where you submit it is listed here at the bottom. That's our email address. And you can submit that to us either via email or fax. We'll go back to the system. There's two last things that I want to show you. The first one is our message center. So before in our old system, you would see that there was a message here. So right in the center, right about here, we had a message center for you guys to send and receive and talk to us back and forth. That is no longer available. It does not have that. We have that over here in the navigation bar for the messages. And so as you can see here, here's where all the messages come. We're in the process of trying to get a notification over here next to the messages, because as you can see, it doesn't tell you on the home screen that you have a message from IPERS. We do email you when we send those messages, but it's not something that's now readily available to you right on the screen. There's a separate screen. So we of course want to be able to notify you. So anytime that you come into the system, I would highly recommend, until we get that updated, that you first check the messages screen, especially if you have a lot of communication going back and forth with some of us compliance officers. This is where we're going to send information to you. So I would highly recommend you check here. So of course, on April 17th, we sent you a message that says we need to do a wage adjustment. My supervisor sent you a message and he sent you the form. He attached it to you so that you can submit that wage adjustment for Jessica Joker. You can reply or archive. I'm going to reply and just let him know this has been submitted to IPERS today. Thank you. And so I'm going to go ahead and click send. And the screen the inbox is still here because I didn't archive it, but you can actually click on the sent, and then you will actually see what I replied. So you as the employer, anything that comes in the inbox, it doesn't show here. It shows what you've sent. So you can see that you replied to my message. You can create a new message and send that information to us, but you always want to take a look there, and you can attach stuff. So like say you were doing that, you can archive it. So you want to get it out of your inbox, or if you need to reply again and say you forgot to attach something, you have the options to attach as well. And the only options when you want to attach it, it used to be that you could attach stuff right when you responded. It doesn't look like that's an option. So you would actually have to physically, instead of responding to my message, if you had an attachment, you'd currently have to click on the new message, and then you would be able to attach a file here to respond to me with that. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what happened there and why that's not available, but I'll make sure that that does get reported. And then you'll just have to respond with a brand new message. It just won't be a trail of messages. And so if I wanted to attach something, you can click attach, and you have to go out and find it. It'll take you out to your shared drive. You can click on those, you can upload it, and then close. And so then of course you'll see that file that I just attached there is listed below in my message, and I can send this in drop down. It's a wage adjustment here is a copy of the wage adjustment I submitted. Thanks. And I'm just sending it to IPERS just as a, you know, I attached it there and I've already uploaded it, but just in case something happens, I'm going to go ahead and send that again to them. So go ahead and click send. And of course it went. So I'm not quite sure why it's not allowing text files to be uploaded. So I'm going to have to double check on that as well. But as you can see, I did, everything was sent. So inbox, there's just the one that my supervisor originally sent me. And then the next one is the copies, and the sent items is where I've sent the 2 messages back in response. The only thing I have left to show you is the meetings module. And what that is so today we're having a meeting, we're having a webinar. You can actually sign in for training. So you can click on if there's a training that's available. So it shows that there's a training available today at 9 a.m. You can click on it. You can pick the date and the time. It says there's 33 seats available. You can book a slot. I'm being registered for attending. It's going to confirm. And at the top here now under attendees, it now shows that I, Betty Hart, am going to be in person today for 3 hours to watch this training on this. And so that's where you can do that. Or you can do it on our website. We do have that available on our website still. So if you go back to the IPERS website, any of our trainings that are available, let's see here. Any available trainings would be listed down below in the calendar. So right here, here's today. So if you click on this session, it'll allow you to register right there online. So you have 2 ways to register. You can register either online here through our regular website, www.ipers.org, or you can do it within your session here and under the meeting. So if you know one's coming up, or you can casually just look here to see what's available. As you can see there below, before I went into schedule, it does say what's available. We have some member phone counseling available in September. There's going to be some employer trainings at Red Oak Community School District in October. So you could sign up for any of those if you wanted to, just like I did, and they'll tell you that you're going to be in person in Des Moines on this location. You can register as many people. If you have multiple people, you have to do them one at a time. You can select them when you're in that section there. You can have multiple people come, and that is in a nutshell the IQ help guide that we've walked through. With that concludes the training. We appreciate your time today. Again, any questions that you have, please feel free to contact us or email us, and that's listed here in the contact, and I'll put that up there for you to see. The phone number again is 877-473-7799. And then we do have the email employerrelations@ipers.org. There is another training tomorrow from 1 to 4. You're more than welcome to sign up for that training again. And if you want to listen to it again, Tom will be providing that training tomorrow. We welcome any questions, concerns, tips. We will be having the normal employer training in May. So watch for that. And that will be for our new reporting officials. We'll walk through the employer handbook, and we will walk through the IQ help guide again at that time. Again, this concludes the training, and you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us.